Good morning to you. I'm Pastor Jeremy Combs. Thank you for joining us as we're pausing for a proverb. We started this last Friday. We're just doing 5-minute Bible studies and just taking a verse or two and applying it to our heart and lives. If I could, I'd get all of you to go back here to some of these thick old commentaries and read them. And you could do that. I have a practice where I read 10 pages a day. After a while, you can get through those thick old things. But I know for some of you, you're not going to do that, and it's going to be a difficult thing. And so we're going to do this on Mondays and Fridays, and just doing a little 5 minutes in the book of wisdom, the book of Proverbs. Last time we were together, we looked at that Proverbs was written, penned by Solomon. The purpose of it, we started into, was to know. This was to experience, to have a personal knowledge of wisdom, seeing the way God sees it. Now, as we continue in verse 2, it says, to know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding. So we need to know, we need to perceive. We need to know wisdom, we need to know instruction. You say, well, what? I know what instruction is. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. You say, that's where you get a long list of points, 1 through step 23, and you've got to go through, and you've got to do step 1, and then step 2, and then step 3. That's instruction. Well, not necessarily. It can be. But the word in Hebrew, that's what this was written in, actually has the idea of to restrain, to reproof, or to rebuke. In other words, H.A. Ironside said it this way: instruction is to teach by discipline. We don't like to be restrained, do we? We don't like to be reproved or to be rebuked. In fact, one of the greatest arguments or complaints against the Bible would be this: it's always telling me no. Now, that's not necessarily true, but there are a lot of thou shalt nots in the Bible. It's funny, we like to be told what to do a lot of times, but we don't like to be told what not to do. But I'll tell you, we learn from both. And so the next time you get one of those thou shalt not, recognize that a wise person learns not only from wisdom, here's what you need to do, but also from do not. And of course, that would be instruction. And then he says to perceive. Perceive has the idea of, it then gives you direction with prudence, that you're going to be able to not waste time, but know where you're going. Another way to say this would be the idea of to be skillful. We need to be skillful, and God understands that. And a way to do that is, once we have wisdom and we know what it is, we then apply it to our heart and life. You see, even a foolish person can hear wisdom and instruction. What separates the fool from the wise man is what verse 2 says. The wise man perceives, he listens, and he sees how he can apply that to his life, and then he goes and does it. J. Vernon McGee summarized this verse best when he said, really, understanding is intelligence. And so while you're reading these Proverbs and as you're studying your Bible, it's good to read it. It's even better when you live it out and you apply it to your heart and to your life. And so he's setting up the purposes of this book, and he says you need to know wisdom, you need an instruction, you need to perceive, verse 2, the words of understanding, and then verse 3, there's still more purposes here, to receive the instruction of wisdom. To receive, that is, you accept it. Okay, sometimes things happen to us and we don't really care for it. This past week, I went and I got my teeth cleaned. I was really glad I did it, but boy, they scraped and they worked and here's the problem. You say, Pastor, you got a big mouth. I got a big mouth, but I got a small opening. And I'm sitting there with my mouth open wide, and man, it hurt my gums, it hurt my teeth, but boy, my teeth look great, and I've got a healthier mouth now. Sometimes as we receive instruction, reproof, rebuke, things have to be chiseled off of our life. Everybody loves the sermon where we talk about the joy of the Lord is my strength, casting all your care upon him. But there's other sermons where we talk about the judgment of God. And again, the idea is thou shalt not. And we need to receive both. And so as we're walking here through Proverbs, we've been through 2 studies so far. We've seen that the book of Proverbs is written by Solomon, the son of David, to Israel. And the idea here is we can know wisdom and instruction, perceive words of understanding, and receive the instruction of wisdom. Hey, you keep it up. Keep listening for wisdom. We'll see you again next time.